Hello, my name is Maggie Hames and I teach cinema history at Marymount Manhattan College. I'm so pleased that my cousin and friend Chris Retz asked me to speak to you about costume design in the grand and glorious film Cleopatra, directed in 1963 by Joseph L. Mankiewicz. The story of Cleopatra has intrigued movie audiences since the earliest silent films, with Helen Gardner taking on the role in 1912 and the legendary Theda Bara playing Cleopatra in 1917. Claudette Colbert played Cleopatra in 1934, directed by none other than Cecil B. DeMille, a director whose name is synonymous with ambitious, even over-the-top costume epics. Vivien Leigh, whom you'll surely remember as Scarlett O'Hara in Gone with the Wind, took on the role in 1945. And why not? This legendary historic figure has attracted the most powerful directors and the most glamorous, successful actresses of every era. For both directors and actresses, part of the fascination with the story of Cleopatra is that it's a true and historic, however embellished, tale. But the story of Cleopatra also points toward an ideal of the greatness women could achieve if given the chance. It also plays as an exploration of the particular price a woman traditionally pays in pursuit of power. And irresistibly, at the center of each production is the character of Cleopatra herself, a woman of endless allure, glamour, beauty, explicit sexuality and sensuality, and power. Power over a nation and power over men who love her to the point of adoration, even to their own destruction. Throughout the 20th century, when average women owned little power in society, in Hollywood, women could be power players. Successful actresses like Theda Bara, Claudette Colbert, and Vivien Leigh were like Cleopatra, powerful in Hollywood and powerful on screen. Director Joseph L. Mankiewicz, the creative force behind formidable female characters in his films, which include All About Eve, A Letter to Three Wives, and The Barefoot Contessa, chose to take on a new Cleopatra for a new audience, and the choice of who was to play the legendary queen was probably an obvious one. In her day, Elizabeth Taylor set the standard in Hollywood for beauty, allure, and glamour, practically since she was a child. She was often described as the most beautiful woman in the world, and her personal life was nearly as dramatic as the fictional character she played on the silver screen. When she took on the role of Cleopatra, she was married to her fourth husband, Eddie Fisher, a man she had lured away from his first wife, Elizabeth's then best friend, Debbie Reynolds. Taylor's own outsized reputation on and off screen was equal to the legendary character Cleopatra. The budget for the Mankiewicz production, particularly for the costume department, was as big as Cleopatra herself. The film cost $42 million to make, adjusted for inflation to roughly $300 million today, earning it the title of most expensive movie for over 30 years. The budget for Elizabeth Taylor's costumes alone was $194,000, which calculates to roughly $1,440,000 today. A colossal total of 26,000 costumes were created for the film. Elizabeth Taylor had 65 costume changes in Cleopatra, a record for costume changes noted in the Guinness Book of World Records. And the film was extremely influential, popularizing snake rings, arm cuffs, geometric haircuts, and maxi dresses, as well as the Cleopatra eye makeup trend, as noted in this Revlon campaign that promoted Cleopatra's Sphinx eyes. The responsibility for the Academy Award-winning costume design was shared by three designers. Italian Vittorio Nino Novarese was in charge of men's costumes. American designer Renee was put in charge of women's costumes, and American designer Irene Sharaf enjoyed the interesting credit of designing costumes specifically for Elizabeth Taylor. Sharaf brought in her own uncredited assistants, including Hua Chang, who worked on special headdresses, and Joan Joseph, who designed costume jewelry for the film. Sharaf and her team placed emphasis on Elizabeth Taylor's beauty and sexuality over historical accuracy. There are so many costumes in this film, it helps to think of them in terms of what aspect of Cleopatra's character they are attempting to communicate: her power, royalty, beauty, sensuality, or divinity. When we think of Cleopatra's power and royalty, We often see the colors red or purple. The first time we see Cleopatra, she rolls out of a rug and onto the floor wearing a chiffon dress in the colors of the Roman uniform, red and white. Here she is making her own political power clear to Caesar. Later, upon visiting Rome, Cleopatra arrives atop a giant model of the great Sphinx of Giza, dressed in a 24-karat gold cape designed to look like the wings of a phoenix. Gold and silver are associated with Cleopatra's divinity. When Cleopatra travels to see Antony, she arrives on a gold ship with red sails, again asserting her status as both powerful and divine. It is lavishly decorated with gold statues and traditional Egyptian sculptures, a veiled throne, and she's wearing an embellished blue ensemble, emphasizing her beauty. She seems to be stating that even though she is powerful, even divine, she is willing to enter into a love relationship with Antony. Through each entrance, Cleopatra is communicating either her power, beauty, or divinity, or in this case, all three. Cleopatra struggles to find balance between politics and passion, head and heart in a man's world, a struggle that transfers into her clothing. She uses her clothes as armor, wearing similar colors to Caesar and Antony, or purple to suggest her royalty. Her clothes, however, are also her emotional giveaway, indicating her mood and desires. During emotional scenes, she dresses and surrounds herself with soft pastel hues. She wears a palette of red or pink during romantic or passionate interactions. And for her final moments alive, where she is at her most vulnerable, candid, and human, her attire is simple in color and unembellished. Significantly, this is the film's longest period without an outfit change, reminding us that beneath Cleopatra the Pharaoh is a human being. Egyptian goddesses are known for being incredibly powerful, sensual, protective, and as figures of superior beauty. Cleopatra identified as a goddess not only through divinity, exclaiming, "I am Isis," to Caesar, but also via nature's goddess, Mother Earth, as she likens herself and all women to the mother River Nile. Throughout the film, we see her connecting to her inner goddess through sensual acts such as bathing and being pampered, as well as surrounding herself with women and flowers. Sartorially, Cleopatra also embraces her goddess, dressing in flowing chiffon with opulent gold accessories, wearing imitation of Isis's famous throne headdress and gold wings, as well as cobra embroidered dresses, which are a symbol of Isis. In the film, we see Cleopatra struggling to find a stable place between royalty, motherhood, and being a wife and lover. Despite recognizing her own power, resilience, loyalty, and drive, Cleopatra's biological sex prohibits others and men from not only seeing her as superior, but equal. Both Caesar and Antony protest when they are first asked and then demanded to kneel before her. Both men separate Cleopatra's identities. She is either a woman and their lover, or she is the Egyptian queen, never both. Sadly, it is only in death after her suicide that she is presented as equal. Lying on an altar, dressed in the gold phoenix wings with throne headdress and symbols crossed over her chest, her trusted servant Charmian is asked the question, "Was this well done of your lady?" Charmian replies, "As befitting the last of so many noble rulers." Hollywood would not see an epic like Cleopatra for decades, partly because this lavish production cost so much and had such a generous promotion budget that even though it was the highest grossing film of 1963, it failed to make money. In fact, it scared directors off the idea of creating period epic films until the age of computer-generated imagery. But the film continues to capture the imagination of film lovers everywhere. In fact, Taylor's 24-karat gold Phoenix cape sold at auction for nearly $60,000 in 2012. For Taylor, Sharaf, Novarese, and Renee, this film was very well done indeed.